Let's talk about taking the stress out of the family and relationships. What is it that we need to know in order to make a positive change, an instant change? So every relationship has three forces that influence this relationship, if it's good or if it's burdening, or if it's going to be something that's creative or not. It's important to know about it. First, we have the bonding part. That means that when you're born into a family system, then you are connected to it by blood bonding. This has an impact on your subconscious level, not only on the DNA, but also on the decisions that you do in your life and how you feel emotionally, if you develop certain diseases or not. So if you don't want to acknowledge this bonding, this always has a consequence. The second is the balance between giving and receiving. That means that when we give too much, this might be a problem, or when we are blocking the receiving part, we can even destroy relationships as well. And the third part is the order. That means that when you're born into a system, it is important to really acknowledge who was there before and who came after. So when you hear these things, it's important to know what you can do about it to make it work. Let's go back to the bonding part. So if you have a conflict inside yourself to accept your parents, for example, or your forefathers for who they were, this might have an impact on you or even on those who are born later, like your children, grandchildren, and so on. Because that means that one part of you, let's say you don't accept your mother, so one part of you is always not accepted as well. So it's weakening this root inside you. That doesn't mean that you have to like what they did. They might have done a lot that even hurt you. Don't misunderstand me there. But the fact that you take them as the persons that they are in your family, because they gave you life, nobody else gave you life, even though you have a stepmother maybe later, or somebody else who comes on the scene, who gives you more love as a mother or more warmth than your physical mother, your birth mother. It's really freeing you to accept her, and nobody can take away that place. The same for when you are marrying again and you have a stepfather, for example. He can never replace or take away the place of your real father. And once this is clear, the relationships can be easygoing. The other thing is the order. So let's say you have been married before and you are divorced, but you have children from this first marriage. Then it's important that these children are acknowledged that they were there first. And the second partnership you might have now, and maybe you marry again, this relationship is absolutely important, and it can work when the two know that they have to give the children of the marriages before this rightful place and then move on from there. If this doesn't happen, it can be very burdening, especially for the relationship of these new two people and for those who were born later as well. Or if you come into a family and they already had cats or dogs, for example, it has to be acknowledged that these pets were there before. And the third part was the receiving and giving balance. So let's say when you make sure that the firstborn who was there before, he had or she had the parents all by themselves, they received a lot. They didn't have to share the siblings with the parents. But to create a balance of this giving and receiving, it might be that the firstborn somehow takes a part of the responsibility later to look after the younger siblings, because they always had to share the parents with the older ones. So it doesn't mean that they take on the parents' role. We don't mean that, but they give something to their younger siblings because they have received so much. Just to give you an example. And of course, these few minutes are not enough to talk about the family order, the balance between the giving and receiving and the bonding part enough. But I just wanted to give you a few ideas what might be looked at when conflicts come up, and that you don't have to live with it. You can really do something about it by looking at the deeper levels and changing whatever is not healthy enough. Yeah? And this change can happen instantly, and it has also an impact on the others of the family, even though they are not in the session, for example, or not at the workshop. Yeah, I hope that gives you new ideas and perspectives and hope.